So let's begin. Closing the eyes down and just finding that comfortable seated pose. Having the legs comfortably crossed, if you can bring the heels in line with the groin, one in front of the other. If not, just cross-legged is accessible too. And we're going to bring our hands to our knees and we're going to bring hands down. So place them on top of the knees, palms face down. Let's just bring that little bit of internal awareness, observation. Keeping those eyes closed as we begin to just observe the breath. And we feel the breath moving through the body. Can we observe whether we are breathing gently, softly, and deeply, or whether there is a little harshness to the breath. Let's take a long, slow, deep inhale. Inhale, filling the belly, filling the chest. And then open the mouth and just let that breath sigh out of the body. Another long, slow, deep inhale. And sighing again. And then beginning to become aware of the sit bones, becoming aware of the hips, becoming aware of the torso, moving up into the shoulders. We're going to begin just a little seated cat and cow. So we are holding onto the knees, and we're going to use that to draw the chest through. Inhale, chin rises a little. And then exhale, we want to send the top of the hips, iliac crest back, round through the spine and drop the chin to the chest. Inhale, draw through again. Lift and open through the chest. Exhale. See if we can begin our movement from the hips. So even though we want the chest to draw through, we're going to keep the chin down, draw the top of those hip bones through, open through the belly, chest, and then chin. And as we exhale, the chin stays risen as we begin to send the iliac crest back, round through the spine and drop the chin to the chest. We have 2 more. And we're in yin, so we're moving really slowly. Finding that awareness through the body. And then coming back to that neutral position, lengthening up through the spine. And sigh that breath out again. So let's begin to find our first pose. We're going to come into Baddha Konasana, but then move into that wider Baddha Konasana. So if we're sitting on top of a bolster, we want to come off the bolster. If we know that we have hips that are a little tight, we may want to keep a cushion or a blanket underneath the hips. Let's take those lovely fleshy parts of the buttocks out from underneath the sit bones so you can feel that you are sitting on those sit bones. And we're going to bring the legs into, if you're looking down, it looks like a fairly wide diamond. Soles of the feet are together to begin with. And being the first pose this morning, we could be a little cold. So we're just going to work into this slowly and softly. Reach the arms, either just holding on to the shins or just in front of the shins. Inhale, lifting through the crown of the head. Exhale, creeping the fingers forward as we round through the spine. Pause. Inhale, lift through the crown of the head again. And exhale, see if you can creep those fingers forward a little. Last one. Inhale, reach through the crown of the head. And then we get to melt. Dropping the chin to the chest, dropping the forehead to the feet. And here we want to find awareness and observation. So if you need to place anything underneath the ankle, do so. If you can feel that the legs are struggling to drop outwards or they're holding themselves for fear of going too fast, then place a cushion or a bolster or a block or something underneath the thighs to just allow you to soften. Allow the legs to surrender into this pose. And then we want to melt forward, maybe turn the palms open to the ceiling and melt as far forward as we can, finding that edge. And then finding the breath. And each time we exhale, this is an opportunity to melt a little deeper. An opportunity to find just that little bit further in the pose. And we're wanting to take ourselves to our edge. And this is not an edge of pain. It is not an edge of discomfort or threshold of where we can't hold it, where we begin to find an erratic nature to our breath. This edge is where we can surrender and begin to let go. And each inhalation, each breath, you want to allow just a little deeper surrender. The fascinating thing about yin is that we are asking you to soften, to let go and to release and to find stillness within this busy world we exist in. So there may be all sorts of resistance that arises through your yin practice. Of course, we have firstly that physical resistance. So we want to begin to breathe into the muscles or into the area that we feel resistance. And then keep our focus in that area and see if we can soften. See if we can let go. Keep breathing into the larger muscle groups. Keep surrendering through the body. The next resistance we might come upon is the mind. We might find ourselves wandering. Maybe making lists, maybe going over things that we haven't done for the weekend, or maybe just wandering into what's going on in your world at the moment. And if you find that is the case, acknowledge that. Totally okay. And just keep coming back to the breath and to that possibility of surrender. You may begin to notice physical tension. The body's resisting surrender. And find compassion. Use your breath. And breathe and soften into your pose. Allow gravity to work. If you wish to go a little deeper and feel it a little more in that internal groin, you are welcome to take the feet a little wider, opening up the internal groin and then finding that softness. You're going to begin to take 3 long, slow, deep breaths, finding any areas of resistance, breathing into those areas as you sigh any tension out of the body, letting go. Once you're ready, take your movement really slow as you begin to press down into the hands and begin to rise the body slowly. You're going to take the hands behind, leaning back. Maybe stretching the legs out feels good. Maybe bending the knees, taking the feet wide on the mat, and just gently and slowly dropping knees left and right. And move slowly. Take it really gentle. Next time you drop your legs to the left, gently let the knees drop to the earth as far as you can and begin to look over that right shoulder. Inhale, knees back to center, dropping knees over to the right and looking over left shoulder. Bring ourselves gently and slowly, always moving with that care and compassion of the body. Let's bring ourselves onto our belly. Elbows underneath the shoulders, feet soft on the earth. Let the feet drop out to the side if that feels comfortable, or take the legs a little wider and let the heels drop inwards, whichever one feels better for your lower back. Making sure that the elbows are underneath the shoulders, palms flat on the earth. Let's press down into the elbows just a little and lift the head, taking just a little yang variation. Work on softening the belly into the earth. Work on releasing the buttocks, finding softness through that lower half of the body. Big breaths into the belly, letting the belly melt. Take a big inhale. And as you exhale, gently drop chin to chest. Let the shoulders rise as they need. And let yourself release. It's important that our elbows are underneath our shoulders so that we make sure that we're not dropping too far to the earth, making sure that we're not actually touching the earth with our forehead, that there is enough space between letting go in the shoulders and dropping the head, that we can hang the head, working into that cervical spine. We're also working into softening through the buttocks, melting that lower belly into the earth with each exhalation. And each time we find a pose, we're working through the same set of principles. Not only are we softening and finding that edge, and again, it's not edge of pain or edge of anything other than your resistance. It's that edge of softness, where your body kind of says, I can feel that and I can surrender here. And once we've found that, we begin to breathe into any areas that are resisting, any areas that we can feel tension. we soften those areas, we can begin to melt into the pose, noticing where gravity is pulling us deeper and deeper. Just allowing the body to keep softening. This particular pose works on our lower back. We're placing the lower back in a little compression, stopping the flow of chi or energy into that lower back for a short period of time. Just like a dam wall stops water from flowing, we're building up the pressure a little, so that when we release this pose, we can flood that lower back area with fresh prana, fresh oxygenated blood, and this keeps the lower back healthy. And vibrant. I'm going to give you two variations to deepen this particular pose. One is that we can bend the knees, take the knees a little wider and bring the knife edge of the feet together. The other variation is that we deepen the back bend. So we can take the hands a little closer to the body, turn the palms, or rather turn the fingers out to the side, and begin to straighten through the arms. And if we come into this pose, we want to make sure that we're actually locking into the elbows. We've moved from our beautiful Sphinx pose into that deeper seal pose. The further apart or further away from the body your hands are, the less bend in your lower back. So the closer the hands are to the body, the deeper this will be. And we have that option of coming into a little yang, pressing down into the hands and lifting through the torso. But only take 3 or 4 breaths in this position before you then begin to let the shoulders rise to the ears and let the chin drop to the chest. Working again into releasing into the buttocks. Letting the belly soften into the earth. Let's take 3 long, slow, deep breaths. And once we've completed those breaths, we're going to bring ourselves down to the earth. So whatever that looks like or feels like to you, if you're in that full extension, lowering yourself down slowly to the elbows, and then maybe lowering yourself, taking the hands underneath the forehead and letting the forehead rest on the hands. A couple of deep breaths up and down the spine. When you're ready, we're going to take ourselves back into a child's pose. Finding that softness, that ability to let go, and melt into this very gentle, very soft hip opening pose. Breathing into the lower back, letting that lower back flood and warm and release. Reaching your hands out and gently draw ourselves up to all fours. We take just that little opportunity of a little freedom of movement. So organic movement through the body, but remember, you're in yin. We don't want to suddenly move the hips from side to side in a quick movement. We want to take it nice and slow and just feel anywhere that the body needs a little movement. Now it's important through your practice that you become aware and you listen to your body. So as we move into the next pose, we really want to listen to our knees. We want to listen to our hips. So let's take our right knee behind the right wrist and draw the right foot over to the left side of the mat. We're going to tuck our left toes under and pull that left knee back. So if we look at that awareness of pulling that knee back, we want to allow that knee to come back into a position that feels okay. We also want to make sure that the right knee comes out to the right, that it's not coming forward, that it is actually moving out to the right. I'm going to tuck that knee back and then just hold in the variation of an extension here. And begin to let go into the hips. Now, if you have any tension in your knee, especially that front knee with that rotation, you can take a bolster or something underneath the torso, so underneath the groin, feed it between the left and right side, or you can just place something underneath this buttock here to stop you from rolling over onto the side. Once you find yourself in a position that you can begin to let go, let's come down to the forearms, down to those elbows, and just begin to drop the chin to the chest and find a little softness. Remember, we find those principles again of taking yourself to that edge, not moving into any pain. Stay away from pain. Moving yourself into softness and surrender using your breath. And once you have come into the variation of this pose that feels suitable for your body, once you find a few breaths and begin to soften, you can begin to deepen this particular pose for you. And that may look like tucking your left toes under and pulling that left knee back a little more. Resist the temptation to roll onto the right thigh or to collapse too much into the left. We can then take the forehead down to the hands or drape ourselves along the earth and take the hands out in front. Breathing into the sensation that is in your body. Using the breath to surrender any tension. And observing and listening to any thoughts that may arise. And without following them, without going off on a train of thought, just acknowledge their existence and then draw your focus and your attention back into the body and the breath. taking the opportunity to move a little deeper if that's available to you. The body begins to soften, the body begins to let go. So just making sure that if you are continually taking that left knee back and deepening that extension and rotation of the hip and the knee, flex the right toes just a little to keep the protection of that knee there. By flexing the toes, we send a little activation up into the knee, and with this rotation, it just keeps it safe. If there is any pain in the knee, making sure that you either find a way with a bolster underneath the groin, or just not coming down quite so deep. Begin to take 3 deep breaths. So have them long, slow inhales, and let the exhales be a surrender for you. That last opportunity to let go a little deeper. That last opportunity to just melt. Taking your time, when you're ready, begin to move. Come back up to hands or elbows, and then to hands. And tuck those left toes under and draw yourself forward just a little. Finding your way slowly into a downward dog. And try to resist the temptation to move too much here. Just allow that blood flow and for the body to fill any space you may have created. Let's come back down to the knees, and again that organic movement. That organic movement through the body. And then as we begin to get ourselves ready, we're going to move on to the next side. So this time we want to take that left knee out to the side. And we want to make sure again that the knee is not coming straight out from the hip towards the front of the mat, but it is actually moving out to the left corner. And we want to take the right foot across, the left foot across to the right side of the mat. Tucking those right toes under and drawing the right knee back a little. Just begin to find that softness. Begin to listen to the body, creating that conversation of connection and awareness. Taking any props that you may need underneath the groin. Let's bring yourself down to the elbow. Pausing here for just a little while. We can begin to let the head melt, feeling a little length through that cervical spine. Maybe the opportunity to take those right toes back a little deeper, increasing that rotation within the hips. And be patient, because each side of your body has its own journey. You are not symmetrical. So whilst it may have been relatively easy on the other side, it may not be on this side, or vice versa. Use the breath. Letting yourself surrender. Take this opportunity to connect in with you, listening to the body, listening to any sensations, listening to what arises within the heart and mind. This particular pose works both urinary bladder meridian and gallbladder meridian. Also works into kidney, liver, and spleen. So we're working on a lot of emotional release. Gallbladder meridian supports us with mental discernment, the ability to trust in our choices and our judgment. Urinary bladder meridian also supports the elimination process in the body. And having a clear meridian within that urinary bladder area means that we don't live in fear. We live in a place of surrender and acceptance, not a place of fear and fight and flight. Take a big inhale and a full exhale. Maybe taking an opportunity to take that right knee back a little further. Maybe we now move down, elbows wide, and bring the forehead towards the palms or the earth. Just taking the variation that feels right for you. Scanning through the body, noticing any tension. Can you release that tension? Letting yourself melt with gravity into the earth. We have that last minute or two left, and here we take that opportunity to delve just that little bit deeper. Is there anywhere in the body that you can surrender? Is there anywhere that is holding on to tension?
So
those 3 deep breaths, those 3 opportunities to soften, surrender, and let go. When you're ready, you can begin to move. We can begin to take ourselves back to our elbows. Begin to move up to hands. Tucking the right toes under and drawing yourself forward so that you have that ability to begin to lift the hips and come into that downward dog. And when you're ready, again coming down to the knees, just taking a moment of organic movement. Just noticing the body, observing how you feel. And then we're going to take ourselves down onto our back. I'm going to take the palms onto the earth, arms out wide from the shoulders. Let's draw both knees in towards the chest. I'm going to take the knees high up to the left elbow and onto the earth. If you notice your right shoulder lift, draw that left shoulder through a little more and see if that allows the right shoulder to melt back onto the earth. And you have a couple of options here. Just surrendering into this and letting go. You may wish to straighten both legs out. Maybe pistol gripping both toes. Or maybe for you, just taking that right leg out. And again, we get to breathe into this release. We get to breathe into this twist. Maybe looking over the right shoulder. Notice if you're holding on to tension anywhere. Notice any resistance and begin to breathe through that. Resting postures are amazing for the digestive system and the organs. Kind of imagine wringing out a sponge, that wringing out of any toxins, anything that's not needed through the digestive system and the organs. keeping the eyes closed out, keeping that awareness while softening into this pose and resisting the temptation of the external world to creep in. Let's take 3 long, slow, deep breaths, using those breaths to facilitate any depth in this that you can find. Once you're ready, if you have your legs outstretched, draw them back in. Draw both knees in towards the belly before you move them to center. Just make sure that those belly muscles are active. Pausing in that center, just allowing the awareness of resettling. When you're ready, you're going to take the knees high up to the right elbow and let them rest upon the earth. And again, if you notice that your left shoulder rises, you have all of those options again to draw that right shoulder through. Use your breath to open through that left rib cage and letting yourself melt. Again, taking the option of stretching out one leg and maybe pistol gripping the big toe, or stretching out 2 legs, whichever variation feels good and feels right for you. We want to take our breath and we want to melt and open through this sacroiliac. We want to open through the hips. We want to allow that top hip to surrender and open. And any twisting posture, not only is it good for the organs, but it's really good for keeping the spine healthy. It opens and creates space in the vertebrae, and it also encourages blood flow. One of those postures that is just so simply easy to melt into. And in that, be aware of the mind beginning to think. Be aware of beginning to wander out of the pose. And stay with your breath. Stay with that softening and releasing. And use your breath. Even in these simple postures and simple releases, stay present. Just keep noticing your breath. Your breath is that key to being centered, to being in this present moment. Notice the body. Notice the little nuances, the little releases, the little let goes. Let's begin to take those 3 breaths. The legs are outstretched. We begin to draw the heels in towards the buttocks. Then take a little awareness of drawing the knees in towards that right side before you bring them back to center. Move slowly. We want to allow the body to begin to reset. You're more than welcome to just drop the soles of the feet to the earth. Take the feet a little wider and drop the knees in towards each other. As we begin to find center, we begin to allow the body to surrender as we take our final pose, Shavasana. We take the legs down the mat. Let the feet fall out to the side. Take the palms open to the ceiling as we begin to find softness once again. As we begin to melt into the earth, allowing the body that final release. Taking any warmth that you may need. Eyes are closed down. And we begin to melt just that little bit more, that little bit deeper into our Shavasana. This final resting pose. Allowing us to integrate our practice. ultimately, we want to stay in our Shavasana for as long as we want. And the benefits of Shavasana are much like meditation. When we find that true essence of Shavasana, letting all thought go and just melting onto the earth, being supported by the earth, we can actually enter into the same as meditation, equivalent to sleep. So lying here for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you're getting hours of that same rest in your body. Whether you're in a yoga class or practicing at home, if you don't ever feel ready to come out of Shavasana, even if we are ceiling practice, then stay exactly where you are. Come out when you're ready. As you begin to bring the breath back into the body, begin to maybe move fingers and toes. Begin to bring that awareness into the jaw. Maybe opening and closing the mouth, maybe run the tongue along the teeth, or maybe just dropping the head from side to side. When you're ready, you're going to reach your arms up above your head, stretching fingers in one direction, toes in the other. And rolling over to one side. Take your time, especially after your yin practice. Try not to just sit upright. Take your time to roll to one side and to honor the practice that you have given yourself today. Observing and noticing the body, honoring the connection that you've created. When you're ready, begin to find yourself to that comfortable seated position, the same place that we began our class. Eyes are still closed down, we're still in that awareness of self. Once again, we find ourselves at that place of a ritual, the sealing of that sacred practice. So let's bring the palms beside the body, palms face the ceiling. Allowing softness in the spine as you begin to draw the hands towards the back of the body. Let them draw back, let the spine round, let the chin drop to the chest. Reach the hands back. Begin to draw the hands around to the front of the body. Allowing the backs of the hands to connect. Shoulders are still rounded. Then begin to rise through the shoulders, elbows, fingers. Bring the hands back to prayer. Draw them down to the heart. Inhale for a gentle Take your thumbs to your third eye. Find clarity of thought, intuition, and truth. Take your thumbs to your lips, finding kindness, truth, and compassion with your words. And bring your thumbs to your heart, surrounding yourself with love and joy. May you sit with purity, truth, and a sense of community within. Bowing down to your higher self. Namaste. Rubbing the hands together, generate a little heat, a little warmth in the base of the palms. When they're nice and warm, bring them up over the eyes, pressing in gently. Balancing left and right hemisphere, take that energy down the face, the torso, out through the thighs. Bring the hands back to prayer to your third eye. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May I have peace, may you have peace, and may we bring peace to the world together. Thank you so much for a beautiful class. And I will definitely see you again soon.